all gotten together and you're spending time to listen to this webinar. And I hope that at the end of this webinar, maybe you'll have some good ideas, or maybe it will have put some ideas in your head about different ways you can do job searching. My name is Molly Keating. I handle career services for South University of the Savannah campus. I have been volunteering for a few years now with different agencies, and I've seen firsthand how the networking is and how it can boost your career. So I'm here to spend a little bit of time talking to you guys firsthand about what the benefits of volunteering are to help you in your transition from classroom to career. I could go into a little bit about how volunteering is so helpful to the community at large, what it does, how many people are benefited and impacted by volunteering. But I know you guys are here to find out about what you can do to help the community and how it can help you with your career. So first, what I want to do is I wanted to find out who you guys are. What is your career background? What is your volunteer background? So I'm just going to go ahead and start at the, I'm going to go ahead and start at the top of my list. Adrian, why don't you jump in and just give us a little bit of information about yourself, and then I'm going to move down the list so that we can all get to know each other.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, my name is Adrian Gibson. I'm also I'm a student at South University. My degree program is information technology. I'm also involved in several different volunteering programs. One major program that I'm involved in is called Male Dreamers, and it's a mentoring program that started out at West Chatham Middle School. I am also part of Heroes Overcome. It's a ministry, but we go to middle school. We go to elementary schools, middle schools, pretty much everywhere, and we suit up as heroes. You have Captain America, Black Panther, Thor. I suit up as Black Panther, and we like the strength. So we bend steel bars, we break bricks, roll frying pans. We do all sorts of feats of strength just to grab the youth's attention, and then we'll talk to them about following their dreams and achieving goals and things like that. I'm also a part of the Student United Way program, which just started at South University. But the key point that I want to make is that volunteering definitely opens up doors to other opportunities. I've met so many people through volunteering that if I needed a job or information about a job, I could go to anybody that I've made contact with throughout the events that I've attended through the mentoring programs that I'm a part of. And that's an awesome way to get your foot in the door in any organization. A lot of companies like to see volunteer work on your resumes as well. A little about me.
Yeah. All right, Adrian, hold on. And we're going to move on to Mary. Mary, go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I volunteer at the American Red Cross. I do when we have the fair, I set up the first aid booth, and I was on the board of the Salina Animal Shelter for 3 years.
Wonderful. Good.
And I do marketing for a company that just started. It's called Intern Hospice. I've been helping volunteering to give them ideas, and we just got our Medicare and our Medicaid authorization for the company. So
Good. We've got 2 active volunteers already on the call, which is great. You guys know firsthand all of the benefits that come with volunteering. How about Brian? Brian, go ahead and talk and tell us about your background. Maybe we've lost Brian. How about let's see. How about Jennifer?
Yes.
Jennifer, are
My
you
name is,
supposed to talk about yourself?
yes. Well, I do mission on the third, on the first Thursday and the third Thursday, where I go and administer to the sickness and study at the nurse home. And through the wintertime, I do the missionary go feed the homeless every other Tuesday. And then on the first Saturday, I go on the first Saturday of every month to a nurse home and to minister to them about the Word of God. And that's why I do for that's why I do around here.
Wonderful. So we've got a little bit of variety of different types of volunteering that people are going to do. I'm going to call on one more person. Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about your background? How about Rivian? Taylor?
Hi, I'm
Okay.
here. It took me a minute to unmute.
Okay, go ahead and talk about yourself.
So I work for this multi-million-dollar IT staffing company, and every year we do what's called all hands, and it's where we all go out as a company and do volunteer for a bunch of different projects that are around Baltimore. Last year, I was able to volunteer for, what was it?
Stop.
It was the teacher swap, Baltimore teacher swap. And it was really it was kind of exciting to see how many people are coming in to donate everything. That's my first time, I think, ever really volunteering to that extent. But it was kind of opening my eyes because the where it was held is a massive warehouse of a bunch of different volunteer programs. And I was able to walk around and see, there were programs that would collect for children and for the teachers like I was working on, and sports and everything. It was really inspiring.
And I agree with that completely. I think you're lucky that you work for an organization that will pay you to do volunteering here at South University. It's the same thing for us. We get a certain amount of hours every year that we're encouraged to go out into the community and volunteer while we're on the clock. So there's other organizations, basically they partner up and they will partner up with a nonprofit, and that is near and dear to their heart. So the fact that you are with a big IT organization, that's going to speak to a slide that I'm getting to later about some organizations that if you can get in with their volunteer work that they do, it's going to help you meet those people that actually work for the large organization that's supporting that nonprofit. We're going to go on a little bit and just talk a little bit more about what it is that you guys have already said. It's talking about helping people who cannot help themselves. Volunteering, it's not necessarily something that's going to take you away from your family, away from school. There's a way to volunteer and include your family with you. If you want it, if you have children and there's a beach cleanup, you can take the kids with you. If you have a spouse and you want to maybe help support a Komen G race or a 5K or something, you can bring your spouse with you. And then on top of it, it's going to help create memories. It helps create a bond between you and the family members. Additionally, at school, it's the same thing. Here at South University, we have Student United Way. We try to encourage students to get together as a team and volunteer together, because I've been told from leaders of nonprofits that they love students to volunteer because the students always bring their friends with them. So it's not ever a solo activity. And then if you do come by yourself, it's a good way to meet other people. As you guys were talking, I noticed a wide variety of services that you guys do, from the Dreamers, which I'm familiar of mentoring young up-and-coming youth, all the way to Red Cross, to working with the animal shelter. And that's the beauty of volunteering. If there's something that you're passionate for, there is a way to get into that industry through volunteering. When you put this on your resume, where you volunteer, it shows who you are and what you're passionate about. No longer on the resume do you put down that you like to garden or you like to travel. You would put down on your resume that you volunteer maybe at a hospital. You volunteer with a Keep the Water Clean organization. It shows what you're passionate about. It shows who you are in a more industrial and business orientated way. Okay, there are many benefits to volunteering. Basically, you can be part of an organization. Once you join an organization, then you are affiliated with them. It's going to help you to feel like you're part of something that's bigger than yourself. I had one student that talked about feeling like he was sitting idle, like he was just sitting idle while he was in school, not working. And being part of an organization, for volunteering, if you don't have time to work 40 hours a week, then go ahead and try to work 20 hours a week at a job to learn those business skills while you're in school. If you don't have time to work 20 hours a week while you're going to school, then volunteering is a great way to fill those gaps on your resume and your skill set, because you can volunteer 2 Saturdays a month. You can do 3 Saturdays a month. And now it's looking like you volunteered for a year. If you do that every month for 12 months, now you've put on your resume that you were affiliated with X organization volunteering for the year 2018. And so it's a great way to explain gaps on your resume and be affiliated with something, but it doesn't take that huge time commitment that a job would take. Additionally, volunteering will teach you confidence and ability to take on challenges. For those of you who have volunteered, I'm sure that you've been challenged in ways that you didn't quite know how to approach things. And this is a good way for you to take business challenges, but you're not at risk of losing your job over it. Organizations, nonprofit organizations, they know they need to train you. They know they need to bring you up and into their fold and teach you things. Whereas if you go for a job, they may expect you to already know those hard technical skills, and they're not going to have a lot of patience to train you. If you volunteer for an organization, a lot of times you're going to learn the same skills that you learn on the job. You're going to be working on your typing, you'll be working on your public speaking, you'll be working on presentation skills. A lot of times you'll be doing administrative type of work. These are all skill sets that you can take over into your job interview and talk about it. when you're on a job interview and they ask you, are you familiar with using Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel? And you say yes, they don't care that you learned how to do it because you were volunteering your time working at an animal shelter and that's the software that they use, or versus you learned how to do it in school versus you learned how to do it on the job somewhere. You know how to do those things, and that's a benefit that volunteering can provide for you guys. Adrian, what's a skill that you learned through volunteering?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So that I've learned through volunteering, time. Most of the,
Adrian, I'm losing you because
okay.
of music.
That's not. I don't
Whoever's
have.
listening to Journey, just
Oh,
mute yourself.
yeah. Hold
Okay.
on. Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was on.
Okay. All right. Adrian, go.
Yes. Management skills and time management is one of the skills that I've learned. You have to be. We have scheduled events. We have to be there on time, and also just being able to talk to people in the public. So another program that I'm affiliated with is SLP, Student Leadership Program, and it's also a mentoring program for high school students. So you start off with a freshman group, and you work your way all the way up to the senior. You'll be with them until they're seniors. But this group is sponsored through Gulfstream. So like Molly was saying, even though I'm not a part of Gulfstream, I'm working with people that's affiliated with Gulfstream and the school system, and I'm learning some of the things that they do at work, their skills, their soft skills or hard skills. So is definitely and plus being able to do something that you enjoy also isn't bad. So and like Molly was saying with volunteering, it doesn't take a lot of your time. So with SLP, it's just one Thursday a month, every month for, and we have about 8 sessions, and that's it. And you're volunteering for that year is done for SLP. So it doesn't take a lot of time. You just have to be available. I'm not working, so I didn't want to be one of those students that just was sitting at home twiddling my thumbs with nothing to do. So I went out and I found something to do, and volunteering and working with the youth is my passion. So that's what I wanted to do.
All right. Thank you for jumping in there like that. It's exactly what Adrian was saying is that there's a lot of skills you're going to learn through volunteering. You're going to learn soft skills. I know you've probably heard this term before in your classes. Soft skills are professional skills that cannot be measured. It's very difficult for a university to teach someone soft skills. We can try really hard with the public speaking. We try really hard with being punctual and reliable and meeting deadlines. But that's really something that people learn at their own pace in their own ways. Additionally, volunteering is going to teach you hard skills. It's going to teach you things like certifications. It can provide free education. I know that some people might get free CPR training out of it. Others can get OSHA trained. There's HIPAA training with the Red Cross. So these are things that you're going to add to your resume that's just provided basically for free through the volunteering that you do. So you're going to want to strategically volunteer. If you're passionate about the animals and you want to spend your time going to the SPCA, I fully support that. But if you are involved in, if you're going to school maybe for medical services, maybe you will want to also volunteer at a hospital so that you're strategically volunteering to learn those skills that your industry is going to want you to know. Volunteering provides a competitive advantage over peers. You're going to learn leadership and you're going to have a platform to practice leadership without having much to lose. You'll test your limits, and you're going to find out what kind of leader you are. And these are all things that you can talk about while you're in your interview. Additionally, what this does is it's going to give you self-confidence, and it's going to give you so much background that you're going to turn into a mentor yourself. As you get involved in an organization, you put in a couple of months there, you're going to become the senior volunteer where they're really leaning on you, and you're going to become a mentor for people who are just joining in and coming in. They're going to be looking at you to provide ideas. They're going to be looking at you to take projects and run with them. So these are all things that is going to enhance your career just through the act of volunteering. All right, Mary, can you chime in and also talk about skills that you've learned through volunteering with the Red Cross?
Well, it would be, because I was at the booth, it'd be first aid. But I also worked for the National Guard on the weekends, and I learned clerical. We use the CAP machine. I take blood pressures. I mean, I learned the business side also, but I do have an associate in medical assisting.
And what are you going to school for, Mary?
Business administration.
All right, so this is a great way to blend your skill set, your former skill set with medical and business, where now you're able to blend it together into events.
Right.
All right, I want to talk to you guys a little bit as well about the social skills that you're going to gain. Well, as Adrian has mentioned, he's affiliated with Gulfstream, which is a huge employer in Savannah. They make jets. They make private jets. And someone else had mentioned that she works for a huge IT company, and she does volunteering through them. There are large organizations, and they will adopt like a pet charity, a pet volunteer program that they encourage their employers to participate in. They sponsor it. They put a lot of money and resources into it. And if you can get in and start volunteering in those circles, you're now going to be working alongside those employees. You're going to, if that's the case, if you're volunteering to strategically get in with a company, you're going to have to treat every volunteer experience as if you're on an interview, because you're going to be working alongside a lot of top people who are influencers in their organization. I do know there's a national organization called VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Association. I know doing taxes isn't really for everybody. However, I do know someone that graduated with an accounting degree, and he started volunteering with them, and he was working doing free taxes for the community. It's a national organization. All of you could Google VITA and see how you can get involved. But he was doing free taxes in the community just for people lined up needing their taxes done. And he was working alongside a CEO of one of the bigger CPA firms in the city. And they got to know each other. And then that's how he got his job working for that large firm. He didn't know that who he was sitting next to initially, but he very quickly learned, and he was able to make a good impression. Those are the types of things you do. He wanted to go work for an accounting organization, so he volunteered for an organization that does accounting. So that means all of the big industry decision makers, the influencers, they're all there working alongside for the common goal is to give back. Same thing for legal services. There are a lot of legal aid places. So if you're in legal studies or paralegal and you're trying to get in with a law firm, there's a lot of legal aid services in different counties that will provide free legal aid for disadvantaged and low economic people. So you can volunteer your time. You'll be doing desk work, you'll be doing paperwork, filing motions, stuff like that, but you're going to be working right alongside attorneys who have their own practices. So if you volunteer, you want to treat it as if you're on a job interview. All right, this slide is just about how transferable are the skills into the workplace. Volunteering is a great way to try out a new industry. You guys are in school. I know some of you are not sure about the major you want to be in. Some of you might be thinking about going on to grad school, maybe in a totally different industry, and you want to just try it out. This is how you do it. So if you want to maybe go into teaching, you can start volunteering with the youth. If you want to go into accounting, you can volunteer with VITA. If you want to go into the medical, there's a lot of agencies that work specifically to host, they'll host free medical clinics, they'll provide education about medical, or you can volunteer at a hospital. Additionally, you're going to be gaining career experience. We've talked about that. You're going to learn leadership stuff. You're going to learn hard skills, soft skills. There's going to be training opportunities. As you get in with an organization, they're going to lean on you harder, and they're going to put a lot more responsibility on you. Additionally, a lot of times that will turn into a job. I've seen it before, specifically with VITA. I volunteer with VITA. That's how I saw it. But doing volunteer taxes is kind of a specialty skill. And then on top of it, to do it when there's a whole long line of people that just are waiting for you to do it, and they've been waiting maybe for hours, it can be draining. It can be exhausting. It's a lot of responsibility on your plate. For this season, during tax season, one of the lead people of the organization just quit on the spot. She had never gone through a season before. She was unprepared. She had been hired during the off season, and she quit on the spot. And VITA opened up her job only to the volunteers and said, if you want to apply, we are only opening it up to volunteers because you guys are the people who know day to day what it's like, what you're supposed to do. You know the organization, and we don't have time to train you right now. So there are a lot of opportunities to just walk right into a job after you become established with a volunteer organization. Additionally, you're going to be able to get professional recommendations. If you're looking for a recommendation to go on to school and you need that, or you need references for future jobs, this is how you do it, is you can volunteer and gain this stuff to put onto your resume down the road. All right, so I know I told you that we would talk specifically about putting volunteer experience on your resume. What can we do with that on your resume? It's going to fill in time gaps. If you're going to school and volunteering, here you go. If you're graduating and you want to take some time off before jumping into a full-time career, volunteering will fill that gap. How you do it is volunteering goes into its own special section on the resume. Don't put it under work experience because that's misleading, but you will put it under volunteering experience. And you do not need to say that you only do it 10 hours a month or 20 hours a week. You put it down for the time that you started to the time that you stopped. So maybe you started in August 2017 and you volunteered with that organization till August 2018. Now you've been volunteering with them for a year. It doesn't necessarily reflect that you only went one Saturday a month for that entire year. Additionally, what this is going to do is it's going to help you stand out among your peers. Looking for a job is so competitive. those of you who have been there, who have been looking, you know that it can take months. And with you guys being students, you guys are all graduating with the exact same degree. South University might put out maybe 100 business students in Savannah a year, but then we're competing with the state schools, and we're competing with the online schools, and we're competing with the other private universities, so that in Savannah, there might be 2,500 business students coming onto the market every single year. And if what you've been doing is you're putting on your resume that you have a bachelor's of business degree from South University, so is 2,500 other people that are also applying for that job. So if you have a little bit of a competitive advantage because you also have these skill sets of doing presentations, public speaking, event promotions, this is all stuff to go onto your resume and talk about during an interview that you've actually done. You haven't just talked about doing it, the academic side in your classroom, in your papers. You've actually done it in the real world. And you know how to think on your feet. You know how to critically think. You know how to handle problems and conflict because you've done it in real life. Additionally, if you choose to volunteer within the industry, it sometimes can look better than if you were just taking a job outside of your industry. So if you're working as maybe a hostess or a bartender or something, Uber driver while you're in school, but you have the opportunity to volunteer for Red Cross or volunteer for a hospital, that can oftentimes look better to your industry if you've been active in volunteering in your industry. Beyond that, there's the references that they can provide. If you're working alongside influencers and decision makers, those are really good references to have available for a job interview. You put down that you have a working relationship with, I don't know, the HR manager over at company X that is a multi-million-dollar company. Now this looks like a really good reference as opposed to other people's references. And then beyond that is just documentation. It's just more things that you can do over what other people can do. You have more to talk about in an interview. You have more to do. You have more to discuss about what your background is. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about is family. We are so strapped for time, I understand, and there's so many ways to get ahead in the corporate world, and it seems like a lot of time your family is the ones who are sacrificing while you're in school, while you're working, and now you're volunteering. So I just want to put out there that if that's a concern for you, then find a way to get your family involved. There's usually a lot of agencies will start volunteers at 16 years and up. So some of them will do it younger, as you can see in this picture. But think about it that way. Think about what you're teaching your family members, what you're gaining, and there's no need to go and do this alone. You can do it with your family. I want to open this up for other people to kind of talk a little bit about what they want the others to hear about. What have you done? What's important to you, and what have you learned, and how can you speak about the value of volunteering? This system is not very good in that it mutes everybody, and I have to unmute you. But Mary, you are unmuted.
Okay. With the National Guard, when I do the filing, they use the numbers different, okay, because it's government and it's civil service when I volunteer. Uh, so when I work in a regular place and do the filing, like Brown Mackey before they closed, I do filing. I do the grade. I was assisting all the instructors, so I was able to learn documentation, academic grades. You know, I would keep track of the grades, and then at the end of the month, they would calculate them. I learned a lot working in the business field, but I also learned a lot when I.
You gotta be careful what. I'm married man.
All right, Mary. So what I'm hearing is basically you've done a lot of hands-on applications in the business world where you would be able to speak to that in an interview.
Right, right.
And these are real-world experiences. Is there anybody here who does not volunteer? If you're on mute, just raise your hand and I will try to unmute you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Who's this?
This is Rochelle Williams. I'm listening in for a different reason. I don't currently volunteer, so I'm just trying to gain as much knowledge as I can as far as, helping my situation going into the work field.
All right, and what degree are you pursuing?
Healthcare management.
Okay, so to stay within the healthcare industry, the Red Cross, but beyond that, what I would suggest is the United Way. It's a parent organization, it's a national organization, but it has different chapters that cover different counties throughout the country. And what the United Way does is they will, they will vet check nonprofit charities to make sure that these charities are on the up and up, they're efficient, they're well run, and then the United Way will support them. So there's a huge amount of charities and nonprofits supported by the United Way, Meals on Wheels, senior citizens. There's, so many youth development. There's a lot of health ones too. There's even some agencies that will provide medications to low-income people that are not able to afford their own medicine with a prescription, stuff like that. So if you are uncertain which direction you want to go, I always suggest that you look at your local United Way. Those agencies have already been checked out to make sure that they are well run, well organized, and using their money and resources wisely.
Okay.
And then any of those agencies, you can contact them and find out how you can get involved. And you just talk to them about how many hours a week or a month that you have available.
Okay.
All right, Adrian, I'm trying to unmute you. You are self-muted, Adrian.
All right, I unmuted myself. All right, yeah. So my degree, my major is IT, and I do a lot of youth mentoring. But through that, I've met a lot of people within the school district, and within the school district, they need IT personnel. So I know the superintendent of Savannah Chatham County. I've introduced her in ceremonies, and I've seen her at SLP, other events that I volunteer at as well. So when I go out, I can, like you said, the references, you can use those people as references, and they can vouch for you as well. So I mean, I didn't really know where volunteering was really going to take me when I started volunteering. I just wanted to go out and be a positive force for the youth, a positive face, and a positive influence to the youth. But through that, I've also found that through networking, especially in Savannah, it's pretty hard to find a job just off an application, putting in an application. Most of the people that I've talked to through volunteering, they've gotten jobs through volunteering, and they've known somebody that knows some. They keep muting me. Hello?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, it had muted me and unmuted me and muted me. But yeah, so through volunteering, you have a networking force that can work for you. If you put those fillers out, hey, I'm looking for a IT job, or I'm going to school for IT, they'll come back and say, hey, I know this position's open. Why don't you try putting in an application here, and I'll put in a good word for you as well. So um, volunteering has definitely opened many doors for me.
All right, good. Now, somebody else raise your hand to tell us a little bit more about your hands-on experience and what you're going to take away from here. All right, no more raised hands. South University often will have our own student organizations that will do our own version of volunteering. So if you don't have time to get in with a different organization and get into their schedule of being open for business or going where they need you to go, you can always come back to South University. The Psychology Club will often do fundraisers. These are all things that honestly it's going to come up in an interview. It's going to come up. Whatever you're applying for, that part of that job description, you can do it through volunteering. So if you feel like you're trapped in a dead-end job, maybe you're working fast food, maybe you're working in a bookstore, I don't know what you're doing, but if you feel like you're not gaining that skill set, you can't break through to learn new things, this is where you do it. You do it with volunteering, and you do it with minimal risk. You're not going to get fired. You're going to get trained. They're going to help you all the way through because they know that you're giving your time up for this. They're not bringing you in expecting you to already know how to do it. They know that they need to train you to their way. So additionally, once you're done volunteering with one agency, you can jump over to another. It becomes easier and easier to spread your time once you're used to doing it, and you can find out different ways of doing things. I hope I've helped convince some of you to start volunteering, and I hope I've kind of opened up an avenue where maybe you're going to consider doing it. And don't just consider doing it, just go ahead and do it. Once you're in and doing it, you're not locked in. This is not a one-year commitment. This is not school where once you sign up, now you have to do it. You try it out. You're trying a new industry. You're trying a new organization. And I think that the intrinsic value that you get, what you're doing to help others, I think it's going to keep you coming back so that you're going to realize that even though you're not getting paid, what you're getting on the back end through references, networking, experiences, and skills, it's going to be more valuable than a paycheck for maybe a job that you don't want to have forever. So that's what I want to leave you with is just go ahead and try it. You're not locking into something. This is not something that you're committed to. Just find an agency, start talking to them, and maybe give them one Saturday, give them one evening, whatever you have, and just see how it goes. Does anybody have any questions? Just raise your hand because the system is not letting me unmute everybody at once the way I was hoping it would. All right, no one seems to have any questions. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to speak to? Okay. Well, I really appreciate that you let me take up about 50 minutes of your time. I hope you get something out of this. I really do. And I want to hear about it, especially for those of you who want to get involved and are not sure where to go. I would love for you to come back and tell me what you did and what you thought of it. Mary, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was offered that I could go to a accessible care. It's the number one home health care, number one in Kansas, to do a market internship with them. Is that volunteering?
Well, an internship is different than volunteering, even though it's unpaid.
Well, it's unpaid.
Right. It is usually internships are unpaid, but it would go under its own section
Okay.
of your resume as an internship, which means you worked for them and you probably are going to be working 20 to 40 hours a week for them for a certain amount of time. And so if internships are different than volunteering because you're going to be given more responsibility right off the bat. You're actually working
they just
for the
teach you.
organization.
They're teaching you how to market.
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
in exchange for your free labor, they're going to give you skills for a very specific industry, and a hard skill. They're giving you the marketing skills, the hard skill for you to learn in exchange for 20 to 40 hours a week of your time.
Okay. Well, I better ask for how many hours, right?
Yeah, go ahead and ask all those things. I know internships are competitive because they're usually open up to everybody. So it's just a matter of applying and meeting their deadlines. And I hope that you get it. Everything you can put on your resume that makes you different from the next person that comes through is a value add. The local hospital here told me that they receive 1,600 applications per week.
Wow.
So, yes. So their HR department only looks at the first page of your resume. They're glancing through and they're looking to see if you hit those keywords that they're looking for. Whatever those hard skills are that they are looking for that job, that's what they're skimming through the resume to see if you have it listed as one of your skill sets.
Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to know. So I wasn't sure about that, but I haven't. She told me to call her if I was interested. So.
Yeah, and in internships, also sometimes they'll give you school credit in exchange.
Well, no, I can't get school credit for it. I've already asked.
Okay, all right. Yeah, different rules for different agencies, but it goes differently on your resume, which it sounds like you already have a lot of volunteer experience, so this would be a new section for you to write down that you did an internship.
Yeah, I do the volunteering because it's credibility in my town. I live in a town that's has about 49,000 people. It's 4.5 miles long, and everybody knows everybody. So your reputation is very important, you know. So I'm able to get more of those skills from them. They're friends.
Okay.
So they always call me when they need someone that didn't show up or need help, like the highway patrol. I worked for them being at the the training center, and I was the top cook for it didn't have anything to do with it, but it's being able to provide service of food catering.
Right. And what you just said is you were a top cook.
Yes.
That's something that distinguishes you in an interview. Well, I was recognized for my hard work here. Working at some entry-level jobs, working at maybe jobs that are outside of your career, they're not necessarily going to do recognition stuff. They're not going to
Okay.
distinguish anybody. But volunteering, they know, everybody's working for free. So they need to do things to, encourage people and give you that self-confidence and that motivation to keep coming back. So there are distinguishing ways to distinguish people who are harder workers and giving awards, stuff like that. And that's something that would impress an employer.
Oh, okay. So awards too?
If you got an award, you would put that down on your resume under awards and accomplishments. You would
Oh, okay.
do whatever the title of that award is and the date that you got it and what the agency is.
Okay. Yeah, I never
And
thought
that's
of
going to
that.
become a talking point in an interview because that's going to be interesting. And they're probably going to ask you, can you tell me about this award? Like, what did you have to do? Tell me about it. So just be prepared to
Okay.
answer questions about it.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, that was just a few things I wanted to know, because I wasn't sure. We got the fair's coming up, so I'm going to call the Red Cross tomorrow and put my name on the list. That'll be a good start, even though I'm not really in the medical field. I mean, I am, but I'm not. Okay, I go to school all the time. And so that is just call around and see if the American Red Cross is still needing volunteers for the Tri-Fair and the whatever fairs they have, okay? Because they already know me.
Right, and that shows too that you're connected to the community. It's the same thing as when you start volunteering, you start throwing around events and you start throwing around language and lingo that just shows that you're kind of an expert in the field or you're an expert in the community. Does anybody else have anything to add? Raise your hand and I will get you unmuted. Otherwise, I'm going to let you go back to your evenings. I was very sincere when I said that I love hearing volunteer stories, though, so feel free to come back. I handle career services for the Savannah and the Austin, Texas campus. I've been here for 8 years. Hopefully I'll be here forever more. So you're going to have more webinars to hear from me. But in the meantime, I also like to hear back from you guys, which is why I tried to get you guys all unmuted for this webinar, and I'll keep working on the technology for next time. All right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.